Provisional government's fall from power, 1917. Provisional government. Weaknesses. The provisional government was not elected, so it lacked legitimate authority. It had no broad base nor wide range support. The Russian people were not used to democracy and wanted further change. This change was pushed on the provisional government as they inherited all the problems before February 1917, such as the economic collapse, food and fuel shortages, and the poor Russian communication and transport system. The provisional government also had to work with the Petrograd Soviet under dual authority, but the Soviets limited their power under Order No. 1, which meant Soviets allowed the provisional government to govern to the point on which they agreed. Mistakes. The provisional government decided to continue with the war effort. This also led to the June offensive, which was a dramatic failure for them. They also delayed the calling of elections for the Constituent Assembly, which was unpopular amongst the people. The provisional government also failed to address the land issue among the peasantry. This was linked to the delaying of the elections of the Constituent Assembly. They also released political prisoners, which allowed them to spread radical and revolutionary ideas. This was made easier when the announcement of the freedom of speech and freedom of press policy was introduced. They also failed to address the concerns of national minorities who wanted greater independence, leading them to make independent national minority groups and governments around Russia. They also failed to deal effectively with the Bolsheviks following the July days, which allowed them to remain alive, but only just. The provisional government then later helped the Bolsheviks by Kerensky using them to stop the Kornilov affair. This made the provisional government look weak and made the Bolsheviks look like the defenders of Petrograd. Kerensky also made a big mistake when he decided to take action against the Bolsheviks in October 1917, which just fueled the Bolsheviks to have their uprising sooner rather than later. The Bolsheviks. Role of Lenin. Lenin is the Bolshevik leader, and when he returned in April, he issued his April thesis, which stated all power to the Soviets, encouraging people not to cooperate with the provisional government, and stated peace, bread, land, which appealed to the soldiers, the workers, and the peasants. The April theses also won over Mensheviks and social revolutionary supporters who felt let down by their own parties when they joined the provisional government. Lenin disassociated the Bolsheviks from the July days, keeping the party and supporters alive for what was to come. Lenin also won over doubters such as Zinoviev and Kamenev, with the statement, "History will not forgive us if we don't act now." Lenin also recognized the importance of timing. He recognized that the Bolsheviks had to act before the elections of the Constituent Assembly, as they were likely to do bad in. Lenin also ensured that the rising coincided with the meeting of all Russian Congress of Soviets, so he could claim it in their name. Lenin also worked very productively with Trotsky to plan the October Revolution in 1917. Role of Trotsky. Trotsky supported Lenin's decision to seize power in October. Trotsky also distanced himself from his Menshevik past and openly criticized the Mensheviks for joining the provisional government, so that there was no suspicions of him still being involved with the Mensheviks. Trotsky also planned the details for the seizure of power in Petrograd, mainly by taking over key buildings to ensure its success. He organized the Bolshevik Red Guard and took responsibility for their discipline and their recruitment. Trotsky was skilled when coordinating the military operations through the Military Revolutionary Committee. Trotsky was also gifted in motivating Bolshevik supporters through his inspiring leadership and speeches. Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks were able to take advantage of the fact that the Social Revolutionary and Mensheviks, who were much larger groups, had lost credibility because of their decision to join the provisional government under Kerensky's influence. The Bolsheviks were also able to capitalize on the Kornilov affair, which allowed them to present themselves as defenders of Petrograd and also portray themselves as heroes. It also made the provisional government look weak.